Music that bad can only mean one thing. It means my friend Amber Duke with the Daily Caller refused to pick her intro song, which, as you know, means we get the worst song we can find on short notice. Amber, that was a bad mistake. Bad mistake.
I should have known better. But you know what? There are worse things than being referred to as a Barbie girl.
Okay. All right. That's very fair. All right, Amber, we have been inundated in recent weeks with lie after lie after lie about political violence. Everyone knows that they're lying. People know why they're lying, but I'm not even going to play it. I was going to play Joe Scarborough. Everyone has heard the endless lies. It's both sides. It's mostly right wing. And then they'll put out, there's always a chart. There's a chart and a graph. And morons believe that stuff, but you dug into it. What'd you find?
Right. So there's two main studies that have been used to perpetuate this false narrative that right-wing violence is more common than left-wing violence. One is from the ACLU, which is the worst of the worst. Ryan Girdusky actually did a great breakdown of it on his Substack, and he points out that a lot of the incidents characterized as right-wing violence include things that were not politically motivated at all, like domestic violence incidences from white supremacist gang members. One of the examples was a New Hampshire man who shot his younger half-brother for informing the police on him, and no one even got hurt. It had nothing to do with politics. But the separate study that I looked into is from Cato Institute think tanker, which kind of tells you everything you need to know up top. But his was less bad than the ACLU, but still quite bad, including just characterizing either run-of-the-mill racists with no other political ideology or people who actually were better characterized as leftists inside of his data. So when I looked at the numbers from 2015 to 2025, I found a negligible difference between right and left-wing violence from the instances he characterized. Plus, he left out a few high-profile instances like the guy who shot up an IVF clinic because he was an antinatalist, or a woman who was shot and killed by BLM protesters because she dared to say all lives matter.
So these people, they package these lies and they look so professional, and it preys on the ill-informed, and it preys on the dumb people in our society, and these lies spread so quickly in left-wing circles now, don't they?
Exactly. And even people who are, lower informed voters, they see a nifty pie chart and they assume that that's right. Even just in the past month, if we look at the recent slate of political violence, it's entirely left-wing, from, of course, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but also multiple attacks on ICE facilities, including the one that happened this week in Dallas. You had the person who tried to bomb a Fox News affiliate van, someone who shot up an ABC local station because they were angry that Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air, plus the number of people who were vandalizing or assaulting people who were trying to memorialize Charlie Kirk. So left-wing violence since the Charlie Kirk incident has only accelerated, and then it's also borne out by all of these polls, including one from YouGov that shows a really significant portion, somewhere between 25 and 33%, depending on which poll you're looking at, of liberals who believe that political violence is sometimes justified, or that the world would be a better place if Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump were no longer in it.
Amber, you've been in politics for a while. When did this shift happen, or has this always been kind of an undercurrent in the Democrat Party, and now because of Twitter and TikTok and all the other social media stuff, now we just get to see their disgusting insides?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the left really controlled major American institutions for decades, whether it was higher education or Hollywood, or the government itself through the deep state bureaucracy. Now that Republicans are running roughshod over those institutions and really taking control and exercising political power to root out the deep rot in those institutions, that's why you see leftists lashing out. But it is inherent in their ideology when they talk about speech being violence, of causing physical harm to people if you say things that offend them. Then it's only natural that you would reach the conclusion that you are allowed to respond to that speech with violence of your own and call it self-defense.
Speaking with Amber Duke, senior editor with the Daily Caller. It is senior editor, right? Did I shaft you earlier when I said editor?
It is senior editor.
Do you actually do any editing at all? Because that doesn't sound like a position where you're actually editing anything.
Very little. I edit mostly just the long form original reporting that we do at the Caller.
Okay. All right. Look, you know what a journalist I am, Amber. I'm just trying to be accurate. That is all. Can you explain what's happening with this disgusting dude in women's bathrooms in Virginia right now?
Oh, it's outrageous. So this individual, I don't have his name off the top of my head. Maybe you have it in front of you, but he is a convicted sex offender who was using a public restroom. It's technically public, although it's on school grounds. I used to live a few blocks from the high school where this happened. It's called Washington and Liberty, although it's actually called Washington and Lee. They changed the name because of woke. But they have a pool that is open to the public. And so this individual who was, again, registered sex offender, was apparently swimming laps in the pool and then going into the locker room when he was finished, except he decided that because he identified as a woman, he got to use the girls' locker room. And on several instances, young girls and their parents reported seeing him engaging in sexually explicit behavior in the girls' locker room, where the young girls, underage girls, could see him doing this. And Arlington Public Schools has a policy that you get to use the bathroom that confers with your gender identity. So even though he was a sexual predator, even though he was a man, there was no rule to prevent him from being in a bathroom or in a locker room with 7, 8, 9-year-old girls. He's now being prosecuted, rightfully so. But the real point, of course, is that he should have never been allowed in there in the first place.
Amber, how can the Democrat Party have gone this crazy? Is it just come down to the fact that they purged every sane Democrat, and if there are any left, they know they have to keep their heads down and their mouths shut? Because this stuff is so obviously demonic, and by the way, unpopular as well. How did this happen?
It's a combination of the litmus test of getting rid of people who are sane, but also the Democrats are really controlled by about 20% of their base that is very much the activist class. It's people who work for trans rights organizations, people who work for social justice organizations, and basically spend their entire lives trying to organize for the most insane left-wing progressive dogma. But because they're some of the most mobilized voters and people who show up consistently in midterm elections and primaries, the Democrats feel completely wedded to them. Instead of trying to win new voters, they're obsessed with keeping this really vocal base happy.
God, what a sick world we live in. She is Amber Duke, senior editor with the Daily Caller, even though she doesn't edit anything. Amber, thank you so much. I appreciate it.